Good morning, Pete Daly here. I'm down in the Brook Dawson Park, which is part of Dogstream Reserve, down in Hanmer Springs. I'm going to run through the course on video because it's hard to see from mapping products. So, you know, it's hard for anyone to see what the course looks like. So I'm just going to run through on video. I'm here just a few minutes after 8 o'clock, and as you can see, there isn't anybody here. And typically this is the sort of thing that you would expect to see at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. The park is beautiful and it does get used through the day, just not quite this early in the morning. It's a great time to be having a park run down here because we're not interfering with anyone else. Now I'm going to hop on the bike. Some parts of the course I'm not allowed to bike, just a short piece that we're going to come to shortly, and I'll be walking through that bit. But we're going to essentially head off in the direction of that, and we're going to run through the forest, up through the back of the forest. This is the Hanmer Heritage Forest, and we're coming back down at that end of the park. So we leave in that direction and we come back in the other direction. So just hopping on the bike, hoping like hell that this footage turns out, because it's going to be another trip if it doesn't. And off we go. Frosty here this morning. Typically frosty through the winter. That's why we're not very keen to really, well, it's only June, so it's not winter yet. Sorry, it's only May, so it's not winter yet. We're not keen to start in winter because it'll be bloody cold for people. But anyway, when we set off, I set off from what is the start finish. When we set off, we're off on this path here. There's a lot of leaf litter at this time of the year, but we're going to be blowing that, I don't know, as often as needs really, whether it's every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, something like that. Path runs through here. Underfoot is very solid. It wouldn't matter if it rained for a week here. These paths are well solid right through the year. That's the stream that I referred to over there. That's Dogstream. Reserve runs alongside Dogstream, and the Brook Dawson Park is part of that Dogstream Reserve. It's very still down here. There's not a breath of wind at the moment. Okay, we're departing from this path now and we're going onto this bridge. Now, this bridge is going to be, the entry to this bridge is going to be reinforced. There's going to be a small retaining wall built there, and it'll be brought up in order to reduce the trip hazard, which is identified in the risk register for this event. It's a concrete bridge, so you can put as many people as you want on that one. Getting back on my bike. Continuing along this path. Just out to our right you can see there's a mountain bike path. There is a series of mountain bike paths here. Now, we're coming to about the only place in the course that you consider to be a hill. And this is a crossing of the mountain bike path here, but there's no real danger in this because there isn't anyone around at this hour, typically on a Saturday morning, even in the summer. And when runners come up here, they've got a good view of anything coming from either side anyway. This is the only part of the course that could be considered much of a hill. It is beautiful in the forest at this hour of the morning. It's beautiful all day, to be fair. And that's pretty much the end of what you would consider to be the only hill on the course. Now we're going to have signage around the course, and potentially there will be a marshal here as well, because that's the direction we're going, when there are other paths here as well. But that's the direction we're going, and we'll have either a marshal or significant signage to tell people which direction to go. Now, this part of the course is what's called a sculpture walk. I won't be riding my bike on the sculpture walk out of respect for the rules, but the reason why it's called a sculpture walk is we have got wooden sculptures all around the place. That's rats paying homage to, I'm not going to say it's a hawk, probably an eagle, and probably a bald eagle. I'm at a loss, to be fair. This part of the forest, of the heritage forest, the sculpture walk attracts tens of thousands of people each year who are walking around here. But it's very, very rare that anyone's here at 8 o'clock in the morning. Because the sculpture walk is quite early in the course, we'll be through here by sort of 10 or 8:15. Even the walkers, the tail walker, I expect will be through here by easily 10 or 8:15. That's quite annoying, that, isn't it? Whatever that noise is back there. Anyway, separate issue. The heritage forest, the background, which I don't know, but I've been told, was that back in the 1920s there was 2 forests planted in New Zealand as forests to see whether forestry could be an industry for the country. This was one, the other one was up in Rotorua in the North Island. And this is, the heritage forest is a section of the Rayonia forest that is just not going to be milled. It's been preserved as a heritage forest. That's a golem up on the tree. Each one of the sculptures has been up for some time now. There's quite a few information panels, as I've just shown you, which give you information as to various things. This is a forest where recreation is encouraged. The direction of walking for those who are walking the sculpture trail is opposing the direction that I'm travelling in which the parkrun is going to be travelling. So anyone coming this way is going to see the walkers coming the other way, and equally the walkers will see the runners. That's a marker post for the sculpture walk. It's just a confidence marker so that people who are doing the walk can see that they've stayed on the sculpture walk, heading in the opposite direction to what we are now. See, this is the sort of information that's around the place. The European larch is what that tree is. There's a variety of trees that were brought and planted to see what would be the ones which could become practical products for a forestry industry if established in New Zealand. So you get such a variety of trees through here that you don't see in too many places around the country. The Redwoods mountain bike park in Rotorua is the other example of an experimental forest. Same as this one here, the Heritage Forest Park. There's our friend who's making his way up the tree. Little recreation spot. We're only perhaps a kilometre into our run at this stage, into our park run at this stage, so it's unlikely that anyone's going to be having to stop and have a break, but they can if they choose to, I guess. Really nice underfoot here. What's that one? That's a Corsican pine, whatever that, well, Corsica, I guess. One of the rules of the use of this forest that mountain bikes don't come on here. Pretty much the only exception to that is one of my fellow organisers, Mark, is authorised to bring his bike on here for the purpose of track maintenance. And there's another of the sculptures making his way up or down, probably up I expect, because that rope doesn't look long enough for him to come down. That's the last of the sculptures that we'll see on this part of the course, but we'll see something more when we intersect with it further on up. When I first started thinking about how we could establish a park run in Hanmer Springs, I played with all sorts of combinations of little loops and laps and putting things together in order that I could make up the 5Ks. Went and spoke with local personality Mark Ingalls, who within 10 minutes of hearing what I was planning to do had this 5K loop planned for me. Now, that's where the sculpture walk continues. We're not going on that part of the sculpture walk. We just come out of this piece and we're not commercially allowed to use that part of the sculpture loop. So we're going to continue this way. Now this barrier moves. Just park the bike. So each morning what we'll be doing is removing this piece of the barrier. I'm not going to take it all the way up because I've only got one hand due to the trolley camera. That piece of barrier comes out, and again there'll be quite clear signage. As an example, we're probably going to put 2 or 3 little cones at this entrance here to make sure that when people come down the path they don't turn right and go that way, but they continue on this way. Whew. Actually, I am going to take it out because it's a damn sight easier to take it out than it is to lift my bike over the top of the jolly thing. Whoever's our tail walker, that's a small job that they'll be doing. They'll be reinstating this barrier as they come on through. And from there we're allowed to ride our bike again. So now this is part of a mountain bike track which we're continuing on. This is called Easy Rider, part of Easy Rider. We intersect with Easy Rider further on back, but we actually do use a short piece of Easy Rider because we have to stay off that sculpture trail. That's as close as we get to a road during the course. There's a fence between us and the road there. Now this is another place which we will be needing to put a marshal, because when we come up here, this is the start of the sculpture walk, which continues down there to the right. It's where the sign says Forest Art and it says follow the dog. That's those little posts with the dog thing, and that's the dog. So that's why there are dogs on those little guide markers that run around there. We've come out of there. That is one choice, that is another choice, that is another choice. So there will be a marshal here to encourage people, because we're heading down in that direction. This is Herdman's Ave. These paths are here for the purpose of maintenance of the forest. There's no traffic here at weekends. In fact, there's very rarely any vehicles here. Even when I've been here through the week, there's very rarely been any vehicles travelling on here, other than, well, exclusively for the purpose of maintenance. When we come up that little pinch that I refer to as the little piece of a hill just before you get to the sculpture walk, that's the only significant hill of any consequence, and it's a couple of 100 metres long, something like that. The rest of the course is quite undulating, so it's flat, like relatively flat like this. In fact, this is a little bit downhill. There is some daylight up through there, but a lot of the course is actually completely under the shelter of trees, which is why you can't see it from mapping products. I've run this in road shoes. I've also run this in trail shoes. Anyone can run this in road shoes any old time. A little bit of a clearing there to the right, looking particularly beautiful in the sun today. This is part of the course that we're going to do a little bit of maintenance on, clearing back any of the undergrowth that comes in from either side. It's plenty runnable as it is, but we're going to try to make it a little bit better. Come to this junction, there'll be a sign here with an arrow pointing left. Good morning. Good. Onto Old Coach Road. Old Coach Road's just a gradual uphill. I don't know if you can hear the bird song in here, but the bird song is quite beautiful. We do get storms from time to time. You can see trees that have dropped across the path. They get cut and left to either side. If there's any question about danger whatsoever, we just won't be running the event. I wouldn't be running through here myself. It can be quite concerning coming through here when there's high winds. It does happen at some times of the year, but not very often. I don't anticipate that we're going to lose any events through a year to wind, to be fair, but who knows what the gods of weather will provide for us. Other intersecting roads. Another road that's quite lovely underfoot. If you come here about an hour later, which obviously we won't be doing, if you come here an hour later, it's beautiful to see the sun shining down through the trees. Up the top up here, there's a couple of sign markers already. We'll be putting a sign there telling people to turn right. We are turning right here. We're going to formalise this part of the path so that people won't be running on grass. It'll just get hard packed like the rest of the course. Another tree that's been cut as it's fallen across the road. Very rare that happens, but when it does, it just gets cleared. That's the sort of maintenance that is done by the Heritage Forest Trail Trust, I believe. Probably got my name wrong there, but there's a group who looks after the various trails through here. When I say a group, it's mostly Mark Ingalls that does that. That last road, there was a little bit of uphill in that one. This one here, there's a little bit of downhill. In fact, from here, it's pretty much all gradually downhill all the way back to the finish. We're currently going across the top of the course, so we're running parallel with the stream down the bottom. And now we're just going right. Obviously, there'll be signage there for that. And we're heading back down towards the park now. We're at about 3.5 kilometres where we are just here at the moment. That's the other end of the road that we went past when we were travelling down the other end there. Quite beautiful here in the mornings. In terms of beautiful, probably the most beautiful park run I've done is the one down at Pegasus, which is about 120 kilometres from here. That's where I've done the majority of my park runs, and apart from the odd one that I've done one overseas and a few others around the country, Pegasus is probably the most beautiful park run that I've seen. This one here, also a beautiful park run of which we're quite proud. It's just a different type of beautiful. This is a different type of forest beautiful, as opposed to an open, relatively urban lake beautiful that the Pegasus Park Run is. There are, obviously this park is open to the public. We haven't had to ask for permission to close any part of the park, but because we're here at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, it's pretty unusual that there are other users of the path, of these paths at all, when we're going to be here. I anticipate that we'll be on the course for, well, as long as it takes until our tail walker gets back, but I would expect we'll be perhaps up to an hour and 5 minutes, an hour and 10, something like that. I know typically Pegasus talks about 57 through to an hour and 3 minutes. I think this course might be a little bit slower than Pegasus because of the undulating nature of it, but I think we'll be off the course by probably latest 10 or 9:15, as long as we start at 8 o'clock. Now we're coming to a clearing which some years ago there was a massive wind came through here and knocked an awful lot of trees down, so the forestry company came and felled those trees as they were just dangerous, and took the opportunity to form mountain bike paths through there. So there's a number of mountain bike paths through that clearing down there. It's quite the asset for the town. We're getting close to coming down on the... Well, now this is... It's worthy to stop here. Oh, worthy to stop here because that's frozen at the moment. It's obviously below freezing overnight. We're a semi-alpine village. This is the only piece that you'll get we've had heavy rain for some time. There'll be water lying here, but a path has been formed up there, and we're going to clear that a little bit better so that it'll provide people with the ability to run through here without getting their feet wet. So. This is what I'm saying about a different type of beautiful. Now we're coming down here, we're turning hard right. So it says exit to the village on that sign over there. We'll be putting a little directional arrow over on that side. Coming down here. It'll be a little bit more intensive, the signage coming down through here, because we need people to be following this path through here. Oh, there's a couple of walkers, nice. Coming back across this bridge. This is the other part of the stream, and we're following it's not a yellow brick road, but it's certainly a gold coloured road. Further up here, to make up our 5 kilometres, we're going to go right up around the top of the park again, up to the top of the park rather. We've measured this course with Garmin products several times. We've measured it with Strava phones. I've put a running wheel over it. We're almost certain as to where our start finish needs to be to make up exactly 5 kilometres. But in the next few weeks we'll absolutely nail that. We're continuing up here, and this is the point. This is the point. This is the point where we came out of the park and went up there for the start. We're now turning left and heading back down to the start finish. The park's a little bit frosty this morning. Again, not overly keen to start this right in the middle of winter. Once we're up and established though, I believe that this is very runnable regardless of the time of year. You can see there's disc golf course down here as well. I've only ever seen one person doing the disc golf down here, but I'm sure that's something that might get a little bit more popular as time goes by. Okay, well that's a run through of the course, and I'll be uploading this onto YouTube and sharing a link with those who need to see it. Lovely. Good morning.